My name is Corey Hudson, and I go by Corey. My pronouns are he, him, his. I live in West Haven, Connecticut, Eastern Standard Time. 2, 3 days a week, and times that would be good for me to meet with my group are probably Tuesday through Friday in the evening, but also Saturday or Sunday in the morning or afternoon or even evening should be fine. Population, social problems that I'm particularly interested in. So I've been working in the mental health, behavioral health sector. Started working in human services with the chronically homeless population, and then segued into an organization that worked with veterans, with folks who had disabilities, folks who were experiencing dual co-occurring disorders, developmental disabilities, veterans, homelessness, domestic abuse, um, all sorts of things, and then kind of just left my previous role with a company that was primarily focused on substance abuse treatment, but obviously there are many facets of that. It's not it's rare to treat someone with substance abuse disorder who doesn't also have trauma, PTSD, some sort of mental health issue, anxiety, depression, etc. So that's something I have experience in and would like to continue to kind of specialize in. Also very passionate about being a member of the LGBTQ community myself. So that's something that I would like to. That's a community I'd like to give back to and continue to stay engaged with. But also, as I've been furthering my education in social work and kind of understanding systems of oppression, discrimination, and inequality. I'm also concerned about marginalized communities, underrepresented communities. Um, so I have an interest in that as well. Folks of different ethnicities, women, um, children. I started my food service career, my first kind of career. Um, in the first 20 years or so of my life, I worked in food service, and I started that career in a nursing home, and towards the tail end of it, worked in an assisted living facility as a food service director. So familiar with the geriatric or aging population as well. But for me, end of life care is can be really heavy. To kind of face your own mortality and to see clients and people that you're building relationships with in their final stages of life, and then to ultimately see their lives end. It's heavy, so I don't see myself working in that field, but we'll see. I think I'm aging as well, so who knows? My interests may change and evolve. My practicum is actually going to be with Aware Recovery Care, which is a company that I was just laid off from a month ago. So it's kind of a precarious situation. So I'm still feeling my feelings about being blindsided by kind of sweeping layoffs that just happened. I had seen myself continuing to grow with that company for the foreseeable future as I continued my education and completed my degrees in social work. Um, so that's going to be interesting. But I have already gained a lot of knowledge and experience from working with that company, and hope to just kind of take what's valuable from this upcoming year and these 2 semesters of my practicum there, and take it with me. So micro, meso, and macro opportunities I have for the spring semester. So Yeah, I guess, within the scope of where my practicum is, we work with the client, um, as well as the system that they're operating within. So on a micro level, it's a client, maybe it's their, most intimate relationships with their partner, their children, the household, with a partner, maybe a loved one of some kind, and then, kind of, in a larger context, a more meso context, the community, that they're living within, that they're living with it, their jobs, if they're employed, those kind of broader relationships, organizations, providers that they may be working with, whether it's a primary care provider, doctor, prescriber for psycho psychotropic drugs, maybe a therapist, other specialized services or modalities, um, some sort of recovery community, perhaps. Um, so that's something, helping them to kind of get connected to natural supports within their community, whatever that looks like. In the meso level, and then on the macro level, looking at the kind of larger systems that they operate within. So one of the things that I think is really powerful and will be impactful in my career as I continue to grow is looking at policies, systems and structures, um, businesses, local legislation, state legislation, federal governmental legislation, things that impact day-to-day lives, whether it's, different assistance that the people may need as they kind of move through different periods in their life. I myself am having to go through the unemployment process right now. So things of that nature, and just, helping people move towards their goals. So looking at, what their resources are, um, things of that nature. So on a macro level, I think policy, while I've avoided politics for a majority of my life, really plays um, an instrumental role in kind of our shaping our day-to-day lives. So on the macro level, I see myself being part of that, but also, um, in terms of the corporation and the company itself, their own internal policies and culture. So, being an ally or an advocate, contributing to the DEI, movement and initiatives within that company and beyond is something that I'm passionate about too. What do I hope to gain from this particular course? I think more tools and skills in terms of working with groups and families, because we're human beings, and it's in our DNA to kind of be in relation to others. None of us is solely independent and free, and operating solo in this world. We're all impacted um, by one another, and we're all impacting each other in some, substantial way, consciously or unconsciously. So I think, being able to work with individuals doesn't stop with the individual. They're a part of a larger system, and so groups, having those skills of managing a variety of needs, goals, desires, obstacles, personalities, things of that nature, I think is critical. And family dynamics can be really challenging. Often the client, is sometimes a symptom or a product of, generations of dysfunction and trauma, and things that need some excavating and some healing. So I think whatever tools and skills I can acquire is going to be really helpful, and can see the bigger context. Well, I have had some experience facilitating groups and managing, people's needs, and trying to create safety space where everyone feels valued and heard and has space to contribute, and wants monopolizing the session. I know that takes time and it takes practice, and I'm still learning. So I'm open to continuing to grow. One personal interest or fact about myself, I guess, I dabbled with photography kind of towards the later stages of my culinary career, and that ended up being unintentionally a financially lucrative way to kind of transition into the human services field. As I was kind of finding that my own experiences with mental health and substance use could be a foundation for me to build a new career, and one that I felt very connected to. Um, and I didn't have experience. I didn't have schooling. I didn't have qualifications yet, and wasn't ready to commit to continuing my education, my bachelor's, and certainly didn't know that I wanted to be a social worker yet. But the photography helped to fund my kind of incremental, get my foot in the door in human services, get a recovery support specialist certification, and get some experience, get a full-time job, and kind of climb up the ladder a little bit coming in the back door. So it's something that I'm just revisiting now during unemployment, as an outlet, a way to kind of embed um, an element of play or creativity in my self-care, so that there's not just tasks involved in my self-care, and but that there's also outlets for play and expression and creativity, which I think is important, and it's easy to forget about when you're hustling. So what do I want the class to know about me? That I'm a work in progress, and that I'm probably substantially older than many of the other folks in the class. And at the same time, I don't think that I could have known or would have known when I was in my 20s that social work was going to be something that I felt I wanted to do, could do, um, was willing to amass some student debt to do. Um, but my life's experiences, and even though it felt like there were twists and turns, and I had maybe gotten lost along the way, all led me to a path of purpose and alignment, which I don't think I could have anticipated or planned if it had been intentional. I thought I was going to go to art school, if anything, but I didn't graduate high school. So to be where I am today, being able to hopefully complete my master's degree in social work just a year beyond this year, feels like quite an achievement. So I'm just really grateful to be where I am and to be learning um, as much as I can, and it feels humbling, but it also feels like I don't know if I'll want to stop. Maybe I'll go on to get my doctorate. There's something very nourishing about education. I think of knowledge. And I don't suspect that my appetite will cease once I have my master. So it'll be a matter of whether or not I'm willing to bite off more student debt, and commitment to more work. But yeah, continue to surprise myself that I'm capable of more than I give myself credit for. And I'm sure the same is true for all of you, that you didn't know how you would get through some of the previous semesters or assignments, and yet here you are. So that's what I have to share. I look forward to hearing each of your introductions. Thanks.